Hi guys.
Hello.
My name is Christian, and I guess the question that I want to open up with for this is, what's your inner authority? I know that for a lot of us, it could be the mom and dad that didn't give us the approval growing up. It could be the one that got away, the twin flame connection, the failed romance. It could be a celebrity that we look up to, that we aspire to be like. And that inner authority, I think, is something that starts in these places, but we carry on throughout our lives. So let's unpack my own personal story. From 1991 to 2000, I lived with my mom. And my idea of love with my mom was just essentially just being myself. I had this amazing support system from her that I didn't really learn to appreciate until it wasn't there anymore. Because from 2001 to 2009, I went to go live with my father. And that's when a lot of the physical and verbal abuse ramped up. I also became more estranged with my mother and the type of love that I learned from her. Because now living with my father, I was trying to repair a broken relationship that, even though it was between me and my father, it was really between my father and my mother, and I was an extension of my mother from my father. But I was relearning what love was. Initially thinking that I was enough, to now thinking, what can I do to be enough? Then from 2009 to 2011, I was in college, had my first relationship. My first relationship felt very distant from my relationship to my parents. But as I got older, I realized that all of my romantic relationships were echoes of my relationship to my parents. This first one was like a rekindling of my relationship with my mother. My mother passed away in 2006. It's been 18 years since she's been gone. And it wasn't until 2006 that I realized that that type of love was actually what was propping me up for pretty much my whole childhood into teenage years. But without that there, I had only my father's love and the love that I was learning from the rest of my family members, which was all essentially the same thing. What do I need to be in order to be loved and accepted? So in this relationship, I was learning how to basically conform to what I think would be enough to keep things afloat. And the more I tried to focus on what I needed to be, the more problems were developing in the relationship. In the next relationship I had, these were all echoes, essentially. The next relationship I had was more of an echo of my relationship to my father. So not only did I feel within this relationship as well that I needed to be a certain way in order to keep things going, or in order to fix any problems that arose, I was also dealing with the same type of verbal and physical abuse that I was dealing with my father. And it wasn't until she broke up with me that I realized that this was supposed to be me learning how to forgive my father and myself for not being enough for something that wasn't meant to work to begin with. So as I got older, each relationship would almost pick up where the last one left off as far as learning from these situations. I think that the illusions of love come from a very familiar place for us. And the word familiar is very close to the word familial. So a lot of the familiar styles of love, whether it's someone praising us, or it could be someone not being interested in us and then we're chasing after their attention, hoping that will be enough, are the echoes of that past, is the echoes of what's coming from the family. So I needed to learn that all of my relationships weren't necessarily truly about the relationship itself. It was my relationship to my own trauma and how I was carrying it on throughout all of my relationships. And ultimately, I developed the strength to say no to someone that was abusing me. I developed the ability to walk away. I then developed the ability to forgive and allow people second chances, but without allowing them to take control again. So, for example, in 2013, when I started talking to my father for the first time in 5 years, it was because within those 5 years that I wasn't talking to him, I did a lot of deep healing work with journaling and therapy and meditating, and I got to a place where I forgave my father for doing the best that he could with the level of consciousness that he had at the time, even though what he was doing wasn't right. But I knew that in order to let go of this trauma and to heal from it, I needed to come to a place of forgiveness. And it wasn't enough to know that. I had to feel it, and that's what took most of the 5 years for me to get to. And I realized that a lot of that, like a lot of these illusions of love, it all goes back into ourselves and how attached to these stories we are. We're attached to the story because the story feels so real. It means so much to us. How could it not be real? It's happening to me. I feel it. And everything that we feel is valid. But how long, this is for me now too, I'm talking this, how long are we going to accept these stories as the etched in stone definitions of who we are, as opposed to we wrote that story down and we have the ability to edit the story or continue the story? Because like I think there's also the idea of like letting go of the past, forgetting about the past. And I don't think that that's necessarily what letting go is all about. I think letting go is not clinging to the story so hard anymore and allowing the story to kind of continue and to build on top of it and to remember all the trauma that we've been through and learn from it as lessons, as opposed to like, oh my God, this is the thing and it's always going to be this way. And when you meet someone new, it's just going to be the same thing as before. And I noticed that that's why my relationships were mirroring my relationships to my parents. That's why what I thought love was manifesting the way that it was because that's what I believed it to be, because that's what I learned in childhood. And then in childhood, I was just like, okay, this is what it is. I expect it this way. But in doing that, I was limiting my own experience. So with that said, I'd like to open that question up one more time, just because it's something that I've been ruminating on for a while now. What is your inner authority? And I think we're meant to challenge that inner authority. Thank you.